a team that had already won the World Cup, another team standing on the verge of making history. And then came that one moment that changed everything. Argentina versus Egypt in the round of 16 wasn't just a football match. It was an emotional journey where the story kept taking unexpected turns with every passing minute. When both teams stepped onto the pitch at Atlanta Stadium, the tension in the air was impossible to ignore. Defending champions Argentina were chasing their fourth World Cup title, while Egypt were dreaming of the greatest achievement in their football history, reaching the quarterfinals for the very first time. This was only the third meeting between the two nations, with their first encounter dating all the way back to the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics, where Argentina had claimed a convincing victory. Right from the opening whistle, Egypt made their intentions clear. They came to attack, not to sit back and defend. Their fearless approach paid off in the 15th minute when Yasser Ibrahim rose brilliantly to meet a cross and powered a header into the back of the net. The entire Atlanta Stadium fell silent. Argentina's fans, who had expected a comfortable victory, were left stunned. Egypt led 1-0, and their confidence was soaring. Just a few minutes later, Argentina were handed the perfect opportunity to fight back. Nicolas Tagliafico made a clever run inside the penalty area and won a penalty after being brought down. The referee pointed straight to the spot. Now all eyes were on Lionel Messi. Millions around the world expected him to level the score. But what happened next shocked everyone. Egypt's goalkeeper, Mostafa Shoubir, guessed correctly, dived low to his left, and produced a spectacular save to deny Messi from the penalty spot. It wasn't just a save, it was a statement. Egypt hadn't come here simply to participate. They had come to win. Shoubir's incredible performance didn't stop there. Before halftime, he denied dangerous efforts from Alexis Mac Allister and Julian Alvarez as well. He had become an impenetrable wall in front of goal, leaving Argentina's attackers increasingly frustrated. Every shot, every cross, every through ball seemed to end the same way, with Shoubir making another outstanding save. When the halftime whistle blew, the scoreboard read Egypt 1, Argentina 0. But the reality was even more impressive than the scoreline suggested. Egypt had been the better team. The second half began with Egypt maintaining their momentum. Their counter-attacking football continued to trouble Argentina's defense again and again. At one point, Mostafa Ziko even found the back of the net, sending Egyptian fans into wild celebrations. But their joy lasted only a few moments. After a VAR review, the goal was ruled out because of an earlier foul on Lisandro Martinez during the build-up. Frustration spread through the Egyptian camp, as many players and fans felt they'd been denied a perfectly good goal. Still, Egypt refused to give up. In the 67th minute, they produced one of the finest attacking moves of the match. Haitham Hassan exploded down the right wing, beating defenders with his pace before finding Mohamed Salah. Without wasting a second, Salah displayed his world-class vision by slipping a perfectly weighted through ball into the path of Mostafa Ziko. This time, Ziko made no mistake. He calmly fired the ball into the net to make it 2-0 for Egypt. One side of the stadium fell into complete silence, while the Egyptian supporters erupted in celebration. At that moment, it truly looked as though the football world was about to witness one of the greatest upsets in World Cup history. Argentina, the defending champions, with Lionel Messi leading the team, were trailing by 2 goals, and the clock was ticking relentlessly. Commentators around the world began asking the same emotional question. Could this be Lionel Messi's final World Cup match, ending in defeat? But in football, nothing is ever decided until the final whistle, and this match became the perfect example of that truth. In the 79th minute, Lionel Messi took matters into his own hands. Picking up the ball in midfield, he drove forward with purpose, weaving past defenders before delivering a perfectly weighted cross into the penalty area. Christian Romero, always dangerous when pushing forward, timed his run to perfection and powered a header into the back of the net. Argentina had finally found their breakthrough. The score was now 2-1. The entire stadium came alive. Argentina's supporters erupted with deafening cheers, believing that the comeback was still possible. That was the moment when the entire atmosphere of the match changed. The tension began to show on the faces of Egypt's players, while Argentina suddenly looked full of belief and energy. The momentum had completely shifted. Just 4 minutes later, in the 83rd minute, Lionel Messi produced the kind of magic that has made him one of the greatest footballers in history. Receiving the ball inside the box, he struck it first time with incredible precision and power. This time, even Mostafa Shoubir could do nothing to stop it. The ball crashed into the back of the net. 2-2. Messi was overcome with emotion as tears filled his eyes. It was another unforgettable moment in his legendary career, almost single-handedly dragging his team back into the match on football's biggest stage, at this stage of his career. Now the score was level, and the entire stadium was electrified. Egypt's players were beginning to battle not only fatigue, but also the growing fear that the victory slipping through their fingers. Argentina, on the other hand, looked completely transformed, convinced that they could go on and win the match. Extra time seemed inevitable, but the story still had one final twist left. Deep into stoppage time, in the 90+2 minute, Enzo Fernandez delivered the moment that shook the entire stadium. Argentina launched one final attack, and Fernandez found himself in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. With remarkable composure, he guided the ball into the back of the net. It wasn't just another goal. It was the goal that completed one of the most dramatic comebacks in World Cup history. Argentina 3, Egypt 2. What followed was an explosion of emotions. Egypt's players collapsed onto the pitch, some sitting with their heads in their hands, unable to believe what had happened. After producing such a courageous performance, they had watched victory slip away in the closing moments. Many of them still felt that the disallowed goal earlier in the second half had changed the course of the match, leaving a painful sense of injustice. On the other side, Argentina's substitutes and coaching staff rushed onto the field. Players embraced each other in celebration, knowing they had rescued a victory that had seemed almost impossible just minutes earlier. The referee added a few more minutes of stoppage time, giving Egypt one last opportunity to respond. They threw everything forward, bringing on attacking substitutes and searching desperately for one final chance. But Argentina's defense stood firm. No opening came. Finally, the referee blew the final whistle. Argentina had completed an incredible 3-2 comeback victory and booked their place in the World Cup quarterfinals. The statistics reflected Argentina's dominance over the course of the match. They finished with 57% possession and registered 19 shots, 7 of them on target. Egypt, despite controlling much of the opening 70 minutes, managed only 5 attempts in total. The numbers perfectly illustrated how quickly the story of a football match can change, especially when a player like Lionel Messi is capable of producing moments of brilliance when they matter most. This match will undoubtedly be remembered as one of the greatest comebacks in World Cup history.
For Egypt, it was heartbreaking.
They had come within touching distance of reaching the World Cup quarterfinals for the very first time, only to see their dream shattered by Messi's magic in the closing stages. For Argentina, it was another reminder of why champions never stop believing, no matter how difficult the situation becomes. Argentina will now face the winner of the quarterfinal clash between Switzerland and Colombia. And after everything the football world witnessed in Atlanta, one lesson became clearer than ever. No football match is ever truly over until the referee blows the final whistle, especially when Lionel Messi is still on the pitch.